All right. I think we're live.
Are we live?
Let me see if I boomered it. Let me check YouTube. I may have boomered it. Are we live, everybody? Anyone hear me?
It doesn't look like we're live. Oh shit, we're live.
Perfect.
Oh, there we go. There we go. We are live.
Hello,
Hey!
everyone.
Hello, everyone. I assumed you all came from not my channel. That's awesome.
Hey, you're getting in the Piss Lord crowd.
We don't have a name for any of this. We're bad at promotion because we're artists and altists. Welcome to the Godfrey Universe podcast, I guess. We got Brody. You guys should know Brody by now. He writes with us a good bit. He also does his own art, his own comics, his own protest, how would you describe it? Anti-technocracy, anti-techno-fascism.
Anti-clanker, yeah. Just we don't like the robots.
You're going to get me banned.
I know. No, you're fine. This isn't.
That's what we'll do.
This isn't Twitch. You can say cracker here.
Cracker? You mean clanker?
You can say both.
Well, in that case, I'm out.
Cracker ass clankers, bro.
Yeah.
I prefer a honky adjacent.
Yeah.
Honky adjacent.
I like that.
My Irish blood calls out for that.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna refresh 1 second.
All right. He just does.
I can't. Well, I can't see y'all on the. I can't see y'all's faces on the screen. Yeah, it's just completely white. We are so prepared for this. All
They're trying
I see
to
is
silence
blinding
us.
whiteness. You fucking.
What's up,
honky-ass
Muddy?
cracker.
You can hear us. Oh, and we lost him.
Yeah, YouTube banned him for saying honky. That's our word?
Yeah. Well, hopefully he can get back in.
Yeah, we'll give him just a second. I mean, we're all kind of new to this. I've never done Restream, but maybe once. Oh, there he is. Let's see.
They're trying to silence you. Welcome back.
He makes a disgusted face and leaves.
I'm out of
Sound's
here.
gone again.
Oh.
Yeah, sound's gone. He just said, "Oh
my fucking god."
There we go.
He goes. There he goes.
Now, if YouTube will stop trying to cancel us, we can get this show on the road.
So
it's Peter Thiel trying to stop the Antichrist.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Greta Thunberg, the Antichrist.
Well, Johnny, I assume I don't want you to dox yourself, but I assume your name comes from House of Leaves. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books. I tried to get Brody into it, and he told me to get lost, Clanker.
Yeah, too much being horny for strippers, and I got bored of those parts.
See, everybody always says the house parts are cool, the Navidson parts are cool, but once it gets to a 3-page footnote, about getting ass prostate fingered by some girl on Mulholland Drive, yeah, 3 pages of that can get a little old, but
losing the plot a little.
Yeah, but that's the character I named myself after, the drug-addicted tattoo artist who gets his prostate fingered.
Beautiful.
That
really sets the stage for this.
You could have been the Minotaur.
I could have been the Minotaur. Is there a Minotaur? We'll never know.
Well, yeah, who knows? There's a 40-page description of it that we never actually see it. Well, anyway, I love having you guys on here, Johnny. I've never officially met until just now, but Brody showed me your art, your channel. If you guys, I assume the people in the chat know who you are. If you don't, you should check out Trash Heap, which is a hilarious name. I was laughing with these guys. I talked to Brody so much that he would say he had this recurring thing of saying, "Well, I was talking nihilism with Trash Heap and Piss Lord." And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's get in on that.
Yeah, exactly. Expose the people to it.
So are you guys still Piss Lord Productions, or has it just been shorted to Piss Lord?
Well, it's kind of you can say whatever you want, really. We're not too big on the labels. Piss Lord Productions is the LLC,
Fair enough.
You're gonna go off on a House of Leaves style thesis on it.
Well, I like that. If there are people who aren't familiar with us, and I don't know how they'd really understand this, but we've kind of made our very small niche art collectives even more complicated, because there's Piss Lord, which is me and my buddies here, and then Trash Heap, which is Johnny and the guys in Denver. But then we combine into a Voltron-like force called Piss Heap, and we're trying to even figure out more ways to make it complicated with like within Pissy. If like Muddy and Johnny work on something, they have their own specific name, just to make it more complicated for the viewers at home.
Piss Lord, one of my favorite genders.
It's the only gender.
Well,
it's an identity, as Muddy says.
Well, Johnny, you seem multi-talented. You said you're a writer of sorts. You're definitely like an entertainer and actor, but more than that, it seems like you shared some literature with us that I would assume kind of drives part of your ideology of what you do and why you do it.
Exactly.
I thought it was pretty cool. Like, I love to talk on this kind of stuff. I kind of met at Brody by accident at a Halloween convention, like a horror con type thing, where we were selling our books, and we were like, our stuff's not horror, and like Brody didn't know why he was there either. But like, we ended up talking for like 2 or 3 hours on like the philosophy behind everything, and like, I just love this kind of stuff. Anything that I don't know, man, any kind of thing that just gets your brain kind of going, because I love art. Obviously, that's why you guys are on here, and like, it's cool to see people doing things in real life instead of just like whining about the algorithm. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And that's one thing we're trying to. Piss Lords have the Piss Lords have really helped me out in this, and that they've kind of helped shift my focus away from just the digital content, getting those views up towards, live events, zines, magazines, reaching people and getting like terminally offline. One of the other mentors in my life, Seb, he's an ex-Palantir employee, and he's very focused on getting us out of the rhythm of being terminally online. You wake up in the morning and then you're just instantly scrolling. First thing you know, it becomes a ritual, it becomes a habit. And it's just about breaking those rhythms, breaking out of the cycle of just consuming content mindlessly, and really trying to build something like in person, which is paradoxical when you're trying to do that with people who live in completely different cities. But I think we make it work.
Oh yeah. Well, and to your point about like the physical media zines and like actually print stuff, I think that's also really important. That's something that I've been, especially as of late, making my own zines and stuff and just giving them to local stores to hand out for free has been a big part of it too. I think, especially because we're so online and like everything is just like ephemeral, it just doesn't seem to last. Having like physical copies of things and things you can actually hold is something I think a lot of people want. Like, I mean, just like owning something doesn't seem like something you can do anymore, like, because everything's on streaming. It's like the techno-feudalist, like, you don't own anything, you're kind of just renting it all the time. So I think actually having like a physical thing you can hold is really cool to have, and there's importance to it.
I'll show you something physical I have. This is Life of an Autistic Bartender. This person made this entirely out of trash from their job. You can see it's like a paper bag folded up. And then entirely out of trash from their job into a zine about what it's like to work as a bartender. And that shit's cool. And they sold it to me for like $20 at a zine fest where, you just have a whole crowd of people just selling that physical, non-ephemeral paper, that art that you can actually hold in your hands. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that you notice, like even back in the day before screens, before the digital, like stuff like relics and like idols and icons, like even when people didn't have the digital, they still wanted the physical. And I think that shows how important it is,
Oh yeah. Well, and like specifically with like the idols and stuff, and having like a physical representation of a deity, this thing that is like beyond your scope, and having something that can tie to that. And Dan and I, we talk a lot, we talk like every week, phone calls and stuff. And you always use the term, or like kind of the idea that art is kind of communing with the divine, and to have transfer whatever that weird metaphysical experience is when you get in the flow state and you're making something into a physical thing you can hold, is like almost like capturing that energy in a weird way.
I think so. I think incarnation. I think that's the important thing, and I think that transcends all cultures, all religions, and everything. I mean, I think that's why to talk about the divine, male, feminine, or male and female, and all that kind of stuff, I think is like as male creatures, that's the only way you can even attempt to come close to the idea of giving birth or giving life, and you can't really do it, of course, and you can't come close to it, and you can't understand that divine aspect of the feminine. But I think like that's kind of like that Jungian idea of the animus and the anima, like going crisscrossing into that.
Oh yeah, well, and like just that process of creation. Like I've been working on Mr. Slip for Godfoe, and like I almost see it as my baby. Like I'm like I look at this disgusting monster man I've created, and I'm like, man, I love you. You're like my kid. Just want to pat you on the head. Oh no, did we lose Johnny?
I don't know. Johnny, you there?
Damn, fucking Palantir taking Johnny out again.
We'll see if we can come right back, reconnect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody kind of feels that now. They kind of feel the pulse of the physical. Oh, sound. Can't hear you, but I know what you're saying.
See, this is how you know we're real neo-Luddites, is we can't even do a stream on YouTube.
Can you hear
There
me
he
now?
goes.
There we go. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, we just got a comment. Cryptic visions have revealed to me that God is black, not like African American, like night sky black and covered in roots.
That's
beautiful.
This reminds me of a tweet from my favorite director. You know Hertzfeld, right? He tweeted like,
Oh yeah,
I dreamed that God unveiled like the circles of the heavens were peeled back and everybody could see the intricate plans and designs for God's creation in the sky. But it was written in really crude handwriting and everybody was vaguely like concerned that God was stupid.
That sounds like a Don Hertzfeld.
One of my favorite memes is it's the kid cheating off the other kid, like his homework or whatever, and it's the kid, the main kid at the front is the guy who made Evangelion, Anno, and behind him the kid cheating off of it is God.
That's funny.
Yeah, we are Evangelion stands here at the Godfoe universe.
So, I know we all talked about Blessed is the Flame,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say it's actually something that was a text I was exposed to more recently, and it kind of put into words some, I wouldn't even say thoughts I've had, more so some fears I've had around, how we're supposed to act, because that piece is very for those who are, not familiar, Blessed is the Flame is an introduction to concentration camp resistance and anarcho-nihilism. It essentially posits that hope in the present situation is not a useful force because it points to examples in concentration camps during the Holocaust in which, in order to resist, people had to give up hope because resisting meant death. But through that act of resistance, despite, every single risk they were taking, risking their lives, basically giving away their lives because there wasn't any hope, they could find liberation not through resisting to become free or to liberate themselves from the camps, but purely resisting just to establish their own agency in a system that was trying to take it away from them. To find joy in the pure act of negating fascism, rather than negating fascism for some utopic vision you're trying to get to in the future.
And I just want to interject real quick. The author is Sarah Finsky. If you guys want to read it, it's like 60 pages.
I'll send a link.
Yeah. But what you're saying about the joy, because the specific term is like that French word like jouissance or something.
Jouissance or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And there was a specific quote that I found really interesting in summarizing that kind of joy in the act of resistance is neither victory nor defeat is important, but only the beautiful shining of our eyes in combat. And obviously, like concentration camp resistance is like the most extreme, that in terms of this. But I do think in a time like now where, and this kind of, we'll get into the broader themes of post-leftism I kind of wanted to talk about. Where it seems like the antagonist of our lives, whatever it may be, not as simple as in past times. Like I was kind of thinking about Marx and how Marx is, especially at the time it was written at like the peak of the Industrial Revolution. It's easy to be like, well, you know, it's the workers in the factory, and you can point to the owner of the factory, and that's what you are trying to fight back against. That is your oppressor. That's the person exploiting you. But now, in terms of what is the oppressor oppressed, oh shit, I hit my mic, oppressor oppressed dynamic in modern society, it's not so clear. It's kind of just a miasma of different forces that all seem to have their own interests in mind. They're just kind of taking advantage of the situation as a whole.
We're getting the network state version of fascism.
Yeah, everybody gets their own, you know? Curtis Yarvin was right. I was watching some fucking Curtis Yarvin debates. This is a bit of a tangent, but that dude is so fucking annoying. Like, that's the only way I could think of it. He's just such a little nerd. And, like, the way he talks about things just pisses me off.
You know, I am
reading the writing.
Oh, you have it?
The sacred texts.
Oh yeah.
You know, this is something
I picked it up because I Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say something I'm going to flex for the stream. I am one handshake away from Curtis Yarvin. I'm one handshake away from Steve Bannon. I was just interviewed by some Italian reporter who had interviewed Steve Bannon like 3 days before for some giant piece about MAGA. And I got to talk about how all these fuckers like Curtis Yarvin are trying to build a techno-capital god at the end of time and sacrifice, you know, 40,000 Palestinian children at the altar of said techno-capital god. I blame technology and technology bad, capitalism bad.
When I also another text that goes hand in hand with Curtis Yarvin that I lent to Dan is The Dark Enlightenment by Nick Land.
Yeah, you sent me that. Yeah.
Yeah, and with Nick Land, he is such an interesting case. For those unfamiliar, he started out much like as this really weird far left kind of a lot of post-leftism comes from like his work in the CCRU, him and Mark Fisher specifically, and it was this radical kind of blend of esotericism, theory fiction, the Cthulhu mythos, just all bundled into one weird thing. But then over time, he basically goes in the complete opposite direction and helps kind of develop the Dark Enlightenment neo-reactionary movement with Curtis Yarvin. And I've read Curtis Yarvin's books, and I can verifiably say he's good at sounding smart and using cool words, but there are flaws in his logic that completely negate his 1,000 pages. That's probably a good summation.
He's got like interesting questions and concepts. Like his idea of the cathedral was interesting, and I was able to use it for like part of our work. But I agree with you, Hexit, and I think his conclusions are very bad.
But with Nick Land, his work specifically, I find more interesting than Curtis Yarvin just because it goes into those weirder places.
He's artistic as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's a little more going on there in terms of like the aesthetics too of what he's doing. But specifically when he really lost his rocker and started doing like the more Dark Enlightenment stuff and came up with, he kind of originated that idea of the techno-capital god at the end of time, which is like all capitalism and specifically this newest iteration with its focus on technology and like the Silicon Valley mindset is building towards this AI god that can transcend time, and like we're working towards that. And one thing that I found really enlightening, and this is a great way for me to bring in my most recent hobby horse of the Order of Nine Angles and 764.
Oh, God. You are going to get me banned.
No, don't worry, guys. I swear. But Nick Land was influenced by the 09A writings, and I've read some of it. I don't want to spend too much time with it because it's evil, but the concept in there, it's like the Black Book of Satan, which is kind of their Bible essentially.
Wait, so he has a Satan connection? Like actual like Satanism?
We all have a Satan connection. We just try to deny it.
Well, and what's interesting, so like their their idea of Satan is like Satan is just the word to describe this unspeakable concept of like chaos. Kind of reminds me of like the actual Greek version of chaos that like started the universe. But when you keep that in mind as like chaos as this like demonic entity that is the driving force of all things. It kind of putting that in context with the techno-capital God at the end of time, it almost makes more sense. Like it's almost the what are we talking about?
We're figuring it out.
Yeah, you got on a stream called Anarchy, Nihilism, and Post-Leftism. What did you expect?
Is there a primitivist communist God at the beginning of time? How did I never think of that?
But
are they duking it out right now? Is this the war? Are we in the war?
We're in the war and we don't even know it. But like the connection I kind of made between that like chaos conception of God as this like demonic force driving everything forward under like the O9A kind of conception of it is very similar to his kind of concept of the techno-capital God as like almost a weird physical manifestation of this metaphysical concept of chaos that drives all things forward. I'm not like 100% sure on the like how that connection works, but like that's kind of my understanding of it from what I have read.
I'll be honest, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I got notions, but god damn,
we're going deep.
He's fucking esoteric, man.
It just turns out I'm too schizotypal for you guys. You can't make these lateral connections like I can.
You gonna start rapping?
Yeah, start spitting. I'm gonna be the first O9A rapper.
Oh,
we both said it. You gonna show up tomorrow with face tattoos?
Yeah, exactly. I'm ditching all this comic book stuff. I'm starting a new wave.
Do you think a techno-capital God would be bitter towards those who didn't help create it through a prompting flaw or something?
Rocco's basilisk, basically.
Yeah. Well, and that's
or like am from I have no mouth and I must scream.
Yeah. Well, real quick, Hexnet, you guys should check out. That's the person who left the comment. Check out her Instagram. Yep. She posts like some cool visual art and stuff.
Oh, like a glitch. So, Hexnet, are you saying like there would be a Rocco's basilisk kind of like situation, but because of a glitch in the system, but not the intention? See, that's interesting to me because I feel like if Rocco's basilisk or the techno-capital God was trying to punish those who didn't help create it, it would do it with the fullest of intention. It wouldn't just kind of be like a byproduct of it. But then again, that comes from like kind of like a panpsychist perspective that assumes that these technologies are conscious agents, which they may not be. So I find it hard to, the thing that I find hard to wrap my mind about Rocco's basilisk is if Rocco's basilisk already exists, presumably it already exists at the end of time, it's doing its techno-capital God thing, why does it have to go back in time and punish us to like give us incentive to build it? Like if it already exists, like can't it just chill?
It's just petty.
It's just fucking petty. Yeah. But I think it would be out of pettiness, not a glitch.
I think that is a feeling that people across all the political spectrum feel is this kind of weird like techno-fascism that's creeping in. And I think a lot of people talk past each other. Like I think we do have something of a common opponent no matter where anyone stands. And it's getting really hard to deny that kind of class idea that was fought over for like the past 100 years.
Oh yeah.
It's because no other regime, as evil as they were and as terrible as they were, has the technology that we have now. And if they had, they probably would not have been stopped at all.
Yeah. When on that like notion of this as a class divide, I think it's also like the class lines are even clearer because now we're not just talking about like there's not even a petite bourgeois class, of like, a small business owner who is making enough money, or making too much money in the eyes of like Marxist ideas. But like there's a real divide where it's like we're talking about like the richest people in the world who own all the technological aspects of our life, you know, who own all the platforms that we have to communicate on. It's a much clearer divide in like the us versus them dichotomy, I think, too. Like, so it makes it easier to make that distinction and be like, well, those are clearly the guys we don't like.
Right. Something I really do find scary is if Hitler had Palantir at his hands, we'd be living in the 1,000-year Reich.
Yeah.
So are we, a lot of people say the USA is heading towards collapse, but I mean, my fear is that techno-fascism brings us towards the other end, climate apocalypse notwithstanding, are we in our own 10,000-year Reich or whatever? I mean, with the shit Palantir is doing, it seems like they're literally testing the weapons on Gazan children that they intend to use to destroy us all with. I mean, Peter Thiel, the Palantir co-founder, literally believes humanity should not survive. He's a dark enlightenment fucker through and through. So it's like, if they're already testing the weapons they intend to kill humanity with, like, are we just fucking cooked? Are we cooked, chat?
Well, and like you're saying, using Gaza as the testing ground, not just for like the killing of people, but surveillance technology is a big part of it too, like AI face tracking and stuff.
That's really creepy.
Yeah, when it's only getting worse. Obviously, that's like the kind of feeling that I think lends to kind of some of the anarcho-nihilist ideas, is that feeling of hopelessness that I think is just kind of in the air all the time nowadays. And how do you combat that? Especially like, I can get in a preacher outfit all I want and shout on the streets of Charlotte about how AI is going to kill us all. But at the end of the day, I'm like, what? Like, is this all I can really do? I'm just a dude. Like, I can't fucking stop Elon Musk from giving everyone AI girlfriends. Like, is this the best I can do?
I mean, here's the thing. 19% of Americans have talked to an AI romantic interest. We are so fucking cooked. But you know what? You hear somebody on the street going like, your AI girlfriend does not love you. That's something that's going to make you pause. That's an anti-environment.
Some guy just starts weeping in the corner.
I spoke to his soul.
It was Josh. My artist.
Yeah, that's the only connection he's allowed to have in his artist cage.
What's up, O-Dog?
Well, yo, did that guy have a Dio profile pic?
Oh, from JoJo?
Sick. Oh, well, that's the name I'm going by right now, JoJo Truant. I'm kind of shifting from Johnny to JoJo.
You blend in the two.
Well, I was always like Johnny Joe Gavin Truant.
Yeah.
But it always shortens to JoJo. But I'll tell y'all. I'll make this. This is going to be the first announcement publicly. But I'm trans now. I'm doing the estrogen thing. I'm gonna grow out my hair. I'm gonna.
Great way to make that announcement.
As I'm choking on my own beer. But yeah, I've been about like 3 weeks on estrogen, and I've actually had a lot of hope that I should probably let go of, because it's keeping me from the things I have to do.
This is a nihilism stream. Get out.
Yeah, stop being happy. I do think the making your transition announcement while choking on your own beer is a very good summation of what we're trying to go for here.
Johnny, this is a long shot, but do you know the Sweaty Oracle on Instagram?
No,
I don't know who that is either.
He is a guy that I actually knew where I live. We kind of shared like a hometown, and he's this bald guy, and his name's Jonathan Lewis. And he got catapulted to like internet fame because he worked in Broadway for like 10 years. And he could like predict when like horrible things were going to happen. Like if shows were like going to have like a sexual assault allegation, or like someone was suing someone. And he's on Instagram, and basically he just trolls like the theater industry. But I say all that to say that like I hate this. I'll say art because I don't like the word content. Your art reminds me of his, and like I don't know. I was like, I wonder if like you know him, because like he kind of lives this kind of Andy Warholian lifestyle on Instagram. But everyone should check him out. He's called the Sweaty Oracle. I don't care about theater, but he does, and he's awesome. I know him. I've met him. Like I've known him for like 10, 15 years. He's a great guy.
He's doing pure negation of Broadway.
Pretty much, like he kind of just he negs them until like they give him attention, and he gets all these free. He gets like free money and like free tickets and stuff. And
Whenever I think of negation of Broadway, I just think of Slam Frank.
Slam Frank.
Are you aware?
I am not.
It's like the Hamilton musical where they cast like
That's awesome.
Anne Frank as a rapping Latinx, like queer, just like it's awful. It's awful. It's
That
fucking hilarious. I love it.
That reminds me, I was in a comic book store in
thanks, O-Dog.
Oh, we are unk status.
But I was
I'm almost 40, so yeah.
I was in a comic book store in New Jersey, and there was Anne Frank manga that was supposed to teach like Japanese kids about Anne Frank. And the best part is on the cover, it's like Anne Frank and Astro Boy hanging out.
Oh god,
the crossover you didn't know you needed.
Well, I mean, I guess it's good that Japan isn't burying the truth.
Get it out there any way you can.
You're like, this might be the best thing Israel's done. You know what? This changes everything. I gotta tell you.
I want to circle.
How funny would that be if they reach like the next generation through manga of Anne?
That's how they're going to get
what's going to make the difference.
Yeah, that's how they're going to get the right wing back on their side. It's Anne Frank manga. They're going to get that in the hands of Nick Fuentes, and it's going to change everything.
Oh, okay.
See, we need the Anne Frank Labubu. We need the Nick Fuentes Labubu.
And then just make them hash it out.
Is that capitalism commodifying everything? Is that how we get the techno guy?
Yes.
It solves all conflicts and all problems.
Accelerate. Make everybody a Labubu.
I wanted to circle back to...
That's the plot of Ernest Scared Stupid. Where the troll turns the kids into little toy trinkets, like wooden trinkets.
They were predicting this. I wanted to circle back to some of Johnny's art, because I do think it is a good example of the kind of concept of pure negation from Blessed is the Flame, especially like the two videos in particular, the one where you dress as like an American clown and scream at Hillary Clinton.
Oh, that was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a Das Capital manga.
That's awesome.
Is it as boring as the book?
And then the other one, we need to bring back Puffles. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what Puffles are.
Well, before I get sidetracked again, I want to.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Pure negation.
Pure negation, and then the other one, which is probably my favorite video you guys have done, is the Yakub one, where you go to like a city council meeting and advocate for teaching about Yakub in schools. And I do think that is like obviously to an absurdist degree, but it is kind of the concept of pure negation, especially in a system where it doesn't seem like the democracy's pace is not enough to combat anything. So kind of making a joke of it all in a way is almost the most pure form of protest of the system. And the fact that it's really funny works too.
I think that's a really interesting observation, because I'll give you some context. The last time I had spoken to city council before I asked them to teach the holy truth of Yakub in schools. For context, if you don't know who Yakub is, stream, he's a black man with two brains, born in the Hollow Earth, created the white people 6,000 years ago by means of eugenics.
You can thank him for us.
You can thank him for us honky adjacent people.
Yeah, us crackers.
But yeah, I had tried speaking to city council, and I gave a serious speech about, Palestine and how they should, because there was a Palestine encampment I participated in on the Auraria campus, camped there for a month. I gave speeches asking to drop the charges against the 50 plus students arrested there. And people have been going to there every single week, begging them, say something, pass a ceasefire resolution, look at divestment. And it's just crickets, silence. So at a certain point, it's like, are we really going to keep pleading to these people who aren't listening to us? Or are we just going to make a fucking mockery of them?
Yeah.
So I just wasted their time with some Yakub bullshit because I thought it was funny. Because it's like, and maybe that's not the move. Maybe like I think we would be worse off if everybody just started shit posting at city council, speeches. But there's something to be said about that. I saw some guy moon a city council over taxes, and it's like, that's the kind of shit I'm down with.
Well, and I think there is some power to shit posting at city council meetings, in that we're living in a shit post government. I mean, fucking the official Twitter accounts of the current administration are posting AI memes and stuff. Like, how are you supposed to take anything seriously? Like, I think satire is dead, and not because people can't make jokes anymore, but because how do you even make fun of things? There's going to be a UFC fight on the White House lawn. How do you make a joke
real?
about? Yeah, they're actually trying to do that, and it's how do you make a joke about that?
I mean, the only thing with that is that almost seems like something out of a textbook, a weird thing, like a boxing match that FDR would have put on or something.
Yeah,
it's okay, I guess I can see that, but now in the modern world, it's even weirder because everything's bigger. So it's
But yeah, I do like the circling around to the theme of negation. I can kind of see that in the Cube art, where we're just negating their time, we're confusing them. But if you really want to talk about pure negation, that's not going to be speeches. That's going to be something else entirely that I don't think I really have to spell out based on content.
Yeah, don't get me banned.
Peaceful protest. That's pure negation of
civil
the state.
disobedience.
Civil disobedience. And there is something to be said about civil disobedience. I'm skeptical of anarcho-nihilism because it posits that we are so fucked that all we can do is try and negate the state without any hope for our own survival, because it's already over for us. We're already fucked. But, there's a certain ideological purity that demands, because it rejects all forms of positive change. I mean, they even say in Blessed is the Flame, they make some comment about how, your anarchist childcare network is not going to make a difference in the face of techno-fascism. What if it does? What if positive and negative actions are both required for us to fuck the system? Do we need revolution? Yeah. But is that going to be possible? Maybe not. But does that necessitate, pure negation of the state for its own ends? Or should we still try and build positive projects, even if their success is almost not guaranteed? What if there's a joy, not just a negation, but a joy in building up positive projects, even without the hope that they'll succeed?
Well, and I think that is part of it. I think my view with anarcho-nihilism, partially influenced by Blessed is the Flame, but also just broader concepts of nihilism throughout history, is it can be more useful as a headspace to be in, rather than a form of praxis, in the sense that if you see the your opponent, whatever it may be, as unbeatable, then it kind of just well, fuck it, might as well try. I think there's like you were saying, a purity in that even in the face of unstoppable aggression from whatever party you are being oppressed by or what have you, the idea that everything is fucked can be kind of hopeful in a way, in that is this whole stream of troll? Yes.
This is three grown men trying to know each other and have a conversation and failing terribly. Is what this is. This is the most genuine thing you'll find us doing, and we're just terrible at it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're trying to be sincere. Sorry, we're not good enough.
I think so.
Yeah, this is the ultimate sincerity is dead. You can't even do it.
I found for people who just joined, we're kind of Johnny and I have never met. Brody is kind of the middle man. We're all artists. We all enjoy philosophy and different political and historical ideas. And Johnny and Brody shared a work with me, a work of literature called "Blessed is the Flame," and it's basically a manifesto. Would you describe it as such, Brody? Of anarcho-nihilism, and the thesis is pure negation. This idea that when faced with an oppressive system, particularly something like Nazism, that's what the work addresses. You don't have to necessarily reach for positive change, which is to build something afterward. You can focus on basically simply destroying what opposes you.
The pure negation idea.
Yeah.
And
Johnny,
also,
are you still there? Did we lose you?
they'll find their way back.
Yeah.
Well, because with like the pure negation, another point it makes is like finding the joy in the pure negation, and like as a personal welcome back as a personal project.
Sound.
As a personal project, just because like I can get into very nihilistic headspaces pretty easily. Just that's the way my brain works. But I'm trying to find like in that headspace, and there's a specifically like a Buddhist kind of idea about like this divine nihilism. There's a specific term for it which escapes me at the moment, but like I think in that kind of letting go of these pretenses about what these things should be in terms of revolutionary action or just really any action in life, I think there is a almost like a tranquility in that, in the kind of accepting things as they are. And like I'm trying to formulate it as I speak. I hope I'm making sense, but like that kind of concept of this like divine nihilism, finding the beauty in that, in the unescapable meaninglessness of life. And obviously, Dan, you're Christian, so that's not as applicable to you. But it just in my own life, I find that to be a useful kind of way of tricking myself into being happy.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to posit to you, Johnny, and to Brody as well. And that's why I asked you if you like True Detective, because some of Rust's monologues kind of reminded me of what is Blessed is the Flame, and particularly where I wrote it down while I was reading.
There's no real quick, Johnny. We still can't hear you.
Yeah.
I think you're good. Say something.
What?
Yeah, there he is.
All right, yeah, there you go.
All right,
you're on the point. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Like with the Blessed is the Flame, like you could hear that in there.
Yeah. Where he says we're creatures that should not exist by natural law. This is Russ Cole from True Detective Season 1. We are things that labor under the illusion of having a self, a secretion of sensory experience and feeling, programmed with total assurance that we are each somebody, when in fact everybody's nobody. I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming, stop reproducing, walk hand in hand into extinction, one last midnight, brothers and sisters, opting out of a raw deal. And I know that's not a call to action. That's not applicable in the context of Blessed is the Flame. But I feel like those two kind of converged together in that idea. And with that, this is where I was going to bring in the anarcho negation with the Christian belief that I found, Brody, I thought was interesting. That's also in True Detective, which is the Garden of Gethsemane, where Christ contemplates his death and ultimate negation of death before he is crucified. And I found that to be kind of the joy. I don't know the French word you're from. Yeah, but I found that as a cross reference together. This image of the Garden of Gethsemane, where the divine is going to negate death itself, if that makes sense. Because to me felt like the ultimate negation, which is the negation of death.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
That is the ultimate negation, because it's the negation of negation.
Yeah. Well, and I think like that kind of idea I was trying to verbalize about like that tranquility in nihilism, in like accepting the negation, and like that scene of Jesus in the garden, contemplating these ideas, is very much kind of like that tranquility I'm trying to like formulate while we speak. Because I think there is like a calmness in that if you're willing to accept that nothingness and embrace it fully. I think it allows you to accept anything that comes your way afterwards.
Absolutely.
That's what I found in Blessed is the Flame. I found that idea, which you just described, basically two negatives making a positive.
Yeah. The way I see it, it's almost about like an assertion of agency. Because you can actually see the paralyzing effects of hope with what they describe in the camps. The hope that, we're just going to a labor camp. This is just a resettlement. The rumors that we've been hearing aren't true. We're going to be okay. That kind of stuff can stifle more immediate need to resist now.
Yeah.
And I fear we're in the same situation where we're kind of being led like lambs to the slaughter. And rather than holding on to illusions of the world getting better, when all things considered, it's just more likely to get worse and worse every year. If we abandon the idea that the revolution is coming, or that we have any hope at all for a more positive project in the future, that allows us to find liberation now through, saying, fuck you. You're going to kill me, but like, we're all fucked, but fuck you too. You're going to negate me. I'm going to fucking negate you. And that's the only freedom I can find. So I'm going to take it.
When I like that you brought up agency, because with nihilism, they're kind of like two strands of thought, or like two kind of sides to the coin of there's passive nihilism, which is just the full acceptance of these things and kind of removing yourself from the situation, removing your agency, and then active nihilism, which I think is kind of that like
kind of like deconstruction.
Yeah, and with active nihilism, it's kind of like Nietzsche's whole idea of the Übermensch, of like this idea of once, because his whole lament of the loss of God that was going on, and the Übermensch being an idea of what must come after that to basically like still have the will to survive in a world where meaning is lost. That is like the active nihilist path. It is building meaning from the rubble of meaninglessness, is finding your agency in that meaninglessness.
So we've got two interesting questions in chat. O-Dog asks, what are you guys trying to negate? Which I think is something we should specify. And then The Art of Times of J. Ryan asks, is there freedom in delusion?
Well, I'm not trying to negate anything tonight, except but O-Dog, we're discussing a piece called Blessed is the Flame. I'll put a link into it in the chat that Johnny and Brody shared with me. That is a manifesto, or at least a thesis of sorts, of anarcho-nihilism. And this particular work is paired, displaying the ideas of negation as a radical act of praxis, particularly as it was displayed from concentration camp prisoners, and how they had to accept that there's no hope, there's no future, there's no anything except this act of negating this evil, oppressive thing that's upon me. Is that a good summary, you guys think?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a very apt summary.
Yeah, they didn't need to write that 60-page manifesto. That summed it up.
Muddy's right. Schizoanalysis. That's what we engage in. That's all we can do. Is there freedom in delusion? I'll let someone else answer that. I took enough time.
Oh yeah. Well, I think is like you see a crazy person on the street shouting at no one. I think in some ways that is the ultimate freedom. They're not tied down to any of the social constructs which bind us. And I'm not saying like that's a good way to live, but I'm saying like if you want the full emancipation from reality, delusion is kind of that. Like, I mean, if
that's
you
the
get
definition.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to emancipate myself from reality. But like
not on my stream, please.
No, I'm doing it right now.
But can you emancipate yourself from reality?
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to bring up with the idea of emancipation from reality. If you like look at a lot of like occultism, like, and specifically like Crowleyan strains of occultism, it is like in simplest terms like the ultimate form of playing pretend. Or like when you get into chaos magic, it's like building your own reality. It is kind of emancipation from reality in that like you are creating your own deities to worship. Like Crowley basically invented this old system of thelema just so he could have his own religious view that like made sense to him, and then other people kind of joined on board. But I do think like there is a way towards that through like some of these occult practices, because a lot of like magic with a K at the end is kind of the idea of like building these things in your mind and trying to bring that mind space to reality. That's what like the idea of sigils are, and like manifestation. And
But is that delusion, or is that something else?
I think-
we'd have to define reality before we could define delusion.
Oh, great! That's gonna be easy.
Exactly. Well, I think, and again, to try to tie this with multiple view, that is the idea of Milton, at least Milton's Lucifer, Milton's Satan, was to rage against reality, and that's what hell is a great delusion. It's that there is an objective reality, and you rage against, you try to negate it, and you fail, trying to put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is, do we live in that ultimate objective reality, or do we deny? And if we don't, you can do all kinds of things. But if you do, then we've got to have a hierarchical structure. And that was kind of my question to the anarcho-nihilist idea, is like, is there such a thing as benevolent power? Is there such a thing as benevolent hierarchy?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that
don't
doesn't
know.
believe so. Yeah, it seems like that belief does not think there is, but that's a question I would ask.
Well, I would say I don't know how to represent the views of anarcho-nihilism. In my own views, hierarchy is inevitable, and whether or not it's benevolent or not depends on all members of the hierarchy.
That's a good answer.
Now, when it comes to the metaphysics of reality, I don't think we can debate. I think that's a whole can of worms in its own. But to kind of point to, an example of delusion, perhaps not being freedom, but being a prison, Blessed is the Flame gives the example of prisoners in, like 1940 who believed the Allies were going to liberate them when such liberation was far, far away. And clinging to that kind of hope can be a prison in and of itself, because it doesn't allow you to face the reality of your present situation and organize to negate it in any way you can.
Yeah. I do think it was brilliant in its analysis of, and I'm trying to find the word for it. It's kind of like, I hate the term presentism, but how it kind of defied, I forget the word it used, futurism, basically. This idea of like, there's only now. Mm-hmm. And that's a dangerous thought, of course, because it can be kind of cynically harnessed by people who want a new hierarchy, and they want to use that's what I was thinking. That's the term I was going to describe it as. Anarcho-nihilism, it seems to me, on face value, could be described as something like corrosivism, that its practical use is corrosive. Mm-hmm. It is to negate, and it openly knows that it is not a positive force. So the question is, it can't be really used for anything except for the individual's pleasure, as it described. And I thought that was it was a very sound internal logic for itself. I was very impressed with that.
That's kind of a through line into post-leftism and egoism in general, which states that, when we elevate the idea of the collective good over ourselves, it becomes a god. We can't just say the state is, the oppressive force, and we're going to replace the state with the idea of the collective good, because that becomes the oppressive force that's, siphoning our autonomy for its own goals.
Yeah.
Well,
careful now. You're almost sounding like Ayn Rand.
I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm not saying I agree with the post-leftist, analysis. I believe in the collective good, but with the Max Stirner stuff specifically, I think there's a lot there.
Well, what you reminded me of, which will be a good 180 pivot from Ayn Rand, is Slavoj Žižek has a point where you're talking about
hold on. Do we know he said that? Could you understand that he said it? Because
between the I could make out a few words, but the idea you were talking about of like the oppressive state is replaced by a collectivist idea, and then that just becomes the oppressive state, it was in one of his like interviews or lectures or something, but he was talking about like the failure of radical revolutions being that like they almost, especially since like the French Revolution, they fall into disarray very quickly. They and then they're usually taken over by a more oppressive figurehead. You see that with like the French Revolution, it leads to Napoleon, a lot of the South American revolutions, and obviously like with those there is like American influence, but like even with something like Cuba where they did succeed, it's not like Castro was a very good person. He was just as oppressive as most other figures, and I think that kind of goes into the idea of what Dan was talking about, like a benevolent power, and kind of like the idea of like who gets to possess that power. Because like with democracy, the idea is we get to choose who possesses that power. We have an active role in that. But I just think the idea of, power as a corrupting force in and of itself is always at play in terms of when one state collapses and a new one rises. It's always kind of there. I think it gets down to just human nature and how power relates to human ambition.
Yeah. And if power is inherently a corrosive force, then perhaps the only answer is coercion, to negate the negation.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that gets down to what you were talking about, Johnny, is why you don't believe basically in the atomized individual. Is this is me trying to put it together too. Hierarchy is unavoidable. Like to have a child creates a hierarchy, and that's the only way to have life, unless we do go pure negation, which is death itself.
Or we go into test tube babies in the techno-capital future.
Yeah, but you have to have culture to have a proper power and a proper structure and proper hierarchy. And I think that's the problem that a lot of people, that's my main critique of kind of the rabid leftism that we saw in the early 20th century, such as like the destructive communism, is that it did not have a culture. Its culture was revolution. And after the revolution, you have nothing. And that's what the fascists and the Nazis tried to supposedly fix, was to have a culture, but they just made them up. Like Hitler did not preserve the German people. He didn't preserve
just ripped
the German
off
culture.
The Italians.
Yeah,
he stole their Reich. He was like, "This is our Reich now."
Yeah, like he just made stuff up, and it's like they tried to force a culture, and it's this idea of, I don't know. This is a thesis I'm kind of working on with Brodi of a holistic view of life, that everything is connected. Like there is like. You can't just separate people from culture, and you can't separate the brain from the body, and you can't separate man from the world, if that makes sense. And I think I'm trying to tie it all back together. Like I think that's why it's important to defy techno-fascism by doing stuff in person with people. I think people do matter.
Oh yeah. Well, and like to your point about like the holistic view we've kind of trying to formulate, because I've had similar conversations with Johnny, and kind of formulating whatever our ideology or kind of thoughts on things are, and kind of trying to move out of like a dialectic headspace when discussing issues, especially like the binary. I don't think is a good way of viewing things. I think it's, well, one, you can do a dialectic with yourself. Like, sure, the idea is to have like another person to be, the antithesis to your thesis and then reach the synthesis. That's how our thoughts work. When you're like thinking, hashing out an idea in your head, you're bouncing it back and forth, but it's just with yourself. It kind of just becomes solipsism after a certain point. And I've really taken a lot of inspiration and influence from like the Socratic method, as many voices contributing, like something like this, where we're having an open dialogue and discussion to try and reach some common ground, some idea. And I think that goes into the idea of this holistic view of things, not dividing things into binaries, like you were saying, the body and the brain, these are all parts of the whole, and like it kind of goes into my broader ideas of like that tranquility in nihilism, in that like humanity, some people would define it as just suffering, or it is, pleasure, but these things are on different sides of a spectrum. But you have to see that like the spectrum is a thing in itself, it's the continuum is the whole thing. You have to view things as a whole and not just ends of a spectrum or binaries to kind of compete with each other.
Not everything, sometimes I wonder if life is literally just like...
Did you mean to put the balloons?
Oh, did I just get balloons?
Yeah,
You put your head down and balloons went up, and it was like the most perfectly timed thing ever.
Yeah.
Didn't even notice.
Like right as you started speaking.
Restream loves you, apparently.
You're doing great.
I'm trying. I would agree. I think we need to move past dialectics because, again, 2, binary, die. What?
Maybe it's
What?
Maybe it's the peace sign.
Yeah, do the peace
Is that
sign again.
doing it? Brody, try it. I want to see. Like, is it just doing it for you? That's wild.
I guess Johnny's just special.
We're like monkeys, man. We're so easily amused.
You're like, you know what? The fascism can come now. I got it.
Yeah, like this isn't so bad. Anyway, what were you saying about moving past dialectics?
I think, you know, the Socratic
real
method.
quick. I don't mean to cut you off. I just got on my computer a news thing about Peter Thiel and the Antichrist, like a little news notification. They're
What's it
hearing
say?
us. Oh fuck! It went away. I don't know how to get it back.
I saw it earlier. He said that like shutting down AI, regulating it, and blocking it would bring the Antichrist.
Isn't
Which
that
is-
what he wants?
Which is something the Antichrist would say.
Anyway, we're getting off topic. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I didn't either, man. I don't know why.
Has there even been a consistent topic?
I think that's
Who
the best way to
cares?
handle this. Yeah, we're all schizophrenic here. We're all family.
I don't monetize this. Who cares? Well, I think that's what's important though, man, is like having spaces that aren't based on capital, having spaces that like aren't based on attention and all this kind of stuff to just genuinely get to know people. I can't possibly be in the same room with you guys like right now, but being able to just talk and spitball ideas back and forth, you know, like you did with your friends that are stupid. Like, could Goku beat Spider-Man? Of course he could, but you still talk about it. Like,
Listen, it's so easy. It's like, if you want to text your friend, call them. If you want to call your friend, go hang out with them. You know, we just got to get as offline as we possibly can. And, you know, the thing is, I feel such a kinship with the piss lord guys, you know, trash, piss, filth, throwing around all that stuff, bathing in it. Actually, did dumpster diving for my recent music video. That was the first time I jumped in a dumpster, and today was my second time jumping in a dumpster because my work threw away the stools that we sit on because they want us to stand 8 hours a day now. And I was like, fuck it, you are not throwing away those stools, and I dumpster dived to grab them back. I negated
Pure negation.
what they were trying to do. And you know what? I'm going to tell them it's me or the stools. They can choose.
We'll just throw you both out.
You were already in the dumpster.
That's most likely what's going to happen. If you're if you're in the system of capital, you are disposable.
We're gonna lose track of Johnny when he realizes in a year that like the way to negate it all is to become a billionaire, and he does this magically somehow.
You just start working for Palantir. He's like, wow, this is way easier.
The long con.
I would never. I promise.
Can you
That's
bring
exactly
up
what a Palantir guy would say.
Dan, can you bring up some of the comments Gray Cloudy Day just made of
Sure.
the 90s? Just like, I do think there was a general sense at the time of a freedom of ideas. I think we kind of have the it goes to the idea of like Lacan, like the big other, this force always judging you, and I think that now that we have a literal force, you stop them from negating the stools. We need to address the Shrek Roblox allegation. I did see that. I don't know what
I don't know what
means.
any of that means. I thought I was the skidster.
Okay, this is me. I made a game about Shrek on Roblox. And a lot of people are surprised that I'm like political, even though the game like has Trump in it and all this shit.
How are they surprised you're political? Is that you can just look at your YouTube?
Yakub is not political. Yakub is the truth.
Yakub is, it's almost like meta-political, I would say. You know? Like, Yakub is one of those things where we're like, I don't know if we believe this or not, but let's just commit to a framework and live it out. And like,
it'd be great if every white guy, we all just accepted, but you know what? Yakub did it. Like,
Yeah.
let's just live our Yakubian truth.
well, the thesis of that video was like, let's negate the Yakubian truth. Like, yes, we are like white devils, but we can transcend that.
Yeah, we can be beyond that. Who is your friend in that video? He was funny as well.
Let me go grab him because I live with him.
It's him with a wig.
Just Norman Bates.
They're asking about you on the stream.
Get in here, Peter.
Come on, Peter. Come on. It's 11 people watching. Make them happy.
Holy shit. I don't even know if I can count that high. What's up?
Get down there. Show us your face.
We're at crotch level right now.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going? We're talking about your role in the Yakubian video.
Oh, that's awesome. I came up with that idea after I converted to Islam, and then
Did you do it to like an online class?
This is the trash heap guy. This is my partner in trash heap.
Yeah.
Are you the producer?
He's the NGO funding trash heap that Trump is going to take out.
Yeah, I'm sort of like the Iran to this guy's Hamas. I'm like fucking him in the background. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
You've got the producer like set up. I was like, okay, yeah, this guy produces stuff. Like,
so Peter has to do homework. He was being a little bitch, hiding in his room doing homework.
I have to try and finish my degree that I've spent 3 years
on Yakub.
Like
yeah,
on Yakubian studies.
Second, but if you have any questions for the other elusive member of Trash Heap, here he is.
I'm glad you're here, man. I find your guys' art funny, engaging, and enlightening. I enjoyed viewing it, and I enjoy everything, the philosophy behind it. I think it's great.
I appreciate that, man. I've kind of been like on the outskirts of this for like right now, just because like my life's busy. But like seeing the shit that you guys are doing, especially like the whole Piss Lord collective, working with Johnny so much, it's been awesome to watch. I know I like haven't been there for too much, but when we worked on coming up with the Palantir employees like average day, that was pretty good.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll go ahead and plug that real quick. So we have the Piss Lord Manifesto 1, which me and Muddy, who is in the chat right now, wrote in just like one night based on some ideas Muddy had. But we are working on the Piss Lord Manifesto 2 with the Trash Heap guys, and like Peter was saying, they're working on a schedule of a Palantir employee where they wake up in their Tesla life pod filled with piss and shit, and then I wrote a 1-act play for that. Muddy's working on some stuff, got some art. We're hoping to have that out in December. That's kind of our big project we're working on right now, is getting that one done. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Oh yeah, and for the person who asked, Peter is getting a degree in political science.
I saw a guy say technology studies.
So you know how to make a latte, I assume.
Isn't that like a line we have in the Palantir? Like thanks the Techno-capital God that he got a degree.
Yeah, degree in Yakubian technology studies. Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to like woo the fucking executives at Chick-fil-A when I convince them to let me open up like a district branch. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna, instead of having like Christian stuff, it's gonna be Yakubian. The first Yakubian Chick-fil-A.
Just do it slowly, like gradually introduce it. Like...
Yeah, we're creating a Chick-fil-A, no whites allowed. It's gonna be awesome.
That would be amazing.
A KFC.
Right, well.
So that's the cameo he's doing for the stream. He's got to get back to his bitch work.
Nice to meet you, man.
Peter. I respect you. I really do. Oh, he's pissed. He's pissed.
Thanks, guys.
I
So,
can't
yeah.
laugh. I got a degree in music, as if that's any better.
Yeah, I went to a semester of welding school and started making nuclear submarines. That was my education.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was an insane job.
Brody's crazy, man. He's an artist, a philosopher, and a welder.
Exactly. How do I manage it all?
Humble too.
Just one of my many defining traits.
Well, no, like what? I guess where do you see your art kind of going? I noticed you got the political element, which is a big part of it, particularly with Palestine. I mean, outside of that, because like that conflict unfortunately isn't going anywhere. Like there's, and I guess like, how do you wrap up that this idea of negation with an ongoing struggle like that? I mean, is that what you kind of relate to in that idea? Like, what else can you do? You know?
I don't know if I believe in the concept of negation. Frankly, more of my work is focused on positive projects than negate.
Yeah.
If I was negating the state right now, I would be in jail.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we all?
I'm not practicing what I preach here, and I'm not even saying anarcho-nihilism is what I preach specifically. But I'd say the direction the art is going in is our first era was really focused on taking a framework and occupying it. We're going to take the Jacobian framework for a day and pretend we believe in it, even if it's not something we actually believe in. We're just going to explore what it's like to adopt one framework. But what we're trying to move towards, what we're trying to pivot towards, is the idea that there are all these clashing frameworks that are completely contradictory, that you're just inundated with whenever you tap into your feed and you start scrolling. And it's it's really schizophrenia inducing, seeing all these contradictory, ways to view the world. It's just a complete breakdown of consensus reality. So we're less trying to portray specific frameworks in our videos now, and we're trying to pivot towards representing that clash of frameworks and what that means.
Yeah, and we've had specific conversations, me and Johnny.
I think that's part of here.
Whoa.
See if I could share your art. See if this crashes everything.
Don't boomer it.
Are you putting on YouTube? Also, you know what? While you play your art, those 3 beers
you guys
really
there?
made me have to piss, so...
In chat, did we lose?
I think you're frozen, Dan. Oh, is it just me? Hello? Well, I guess I don't know where everyone else went. I'll be your entertainment for tonight, I guess. How's everyone doing in the chat? Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. Well, yeah, Dan just died, so rest in peace, Dan. Oh, Dan, are you back?
What's up, bitches?
Dan is frozen right now, so I don't know where he went.
Dan is dead.
Yeah, rest in peace. Can we get Rip Dan in the chat going? Because
Press F to pay respects.
yeah, exactly. Pour one out for Dan.
Oh shit! Wasn't he hosting though? How are we gonna get him back in here?
I don't know. He keeps.
Oh wait,
like,
Dan,
popping...
are you back? Oh, his ass is still frozen.
Yeah, that's a techno-capital god working against you. Let me. I'm gonna call Dan and see what's going on.
Okay, I'll entertain the stream.
Doop
Doop doop doop doop doop doop. Look at me! Look at me! Look at me! Fuck! I don't know what to do now. Fuck, now I can't even hear you, Brody.
I muted myself. I had Dan on the phone. He said he could hear and see us. Well, while Dan's gone, Johnny, you want to plug the EP?
Oh yeah. So folks, something really important is happening. I'm going to tell you about my best friend Andrese Lewis. She was widowed last year because her husband was lynched in this city. Aurora Police Department, the same department that killed Elijah McClain, shot Kylan Lewis. He was unarmed with his hands up, saying, "I ain't got nothing." And they shot him within 8 seconds of attempting to make the arrest. Really fucked up situation. She's recently been evicted on top of losing her husband. So we're releasing a compilation EP called Fuck Your Guns, Fuck Your Wars, Fuck Your Truck, Fuck Your Flag. That's the name of the EP. And it's all funds for it. It's going to be dropped on Bandcamp. All funds are going directly towards Andrese. We've got a really great contribution from a band named Shoo Shoo. They've got a decent following, and I've loved their work for a long time.
Shoo Shoo's awesome. Check out their music.
We're also taking submissions for that. So if any musicians are in the chat, send me a DM.
This is the most technically illiterate. Now we got two Dans. This is, I don't know if y'all will be able to see this, but this is the cover I designed for it.
It's backwards, but we can see
you guys can figure it out.
Is that better?
There we go, Dan.
Yes.
Okay, I had to join off a different browser and let myself in. I am the Demiurge. Yeah, go ahead and finish plugging, Johnny. I don't want to get in your way.
Oh no, that was my plug. That was my plug.
We got Shoo Shoo. We got So I made a instrumental that Johnny's going to do some spoken word over.
Nice.
We got some other stuff. Some metal bands.
Kirk is Dead is going to be on there. Our video censored by the bigwigs at YouTube.
They couldn't handle our truth. They couldn't handle Jimmy Kimmel being drone striked.
Drone struck.
Some
ACDC, you've been drone struck.
You've been drone struck.
That's fucking good.
But yeah, that's.
What's go ahead and plug your Instagram, Brody, so people can see your art.
Just my name, Addison Brodi. I got a lot of. I have some comics on there. Some of my zines. I do physical copies. Some of my most recent stuff, I do like a Batman bootleg. That's all on there to read for free. I'm working on doing a physical run of that. I want to do like a Kickstarter campaign. And Dan is contributing. Josh is contributing. I got some other people. So that one I'm trying to get coordinated to do a Kickstarter campaign in the next couple months. I got, like I was saying, my zines are up there. So the previous Piss Lord Manifesto is on there. Also, check out, we do have a Piss Lord Productions page on Instagram, and that's just Piss Lord Productions. It should be easy to find. I don't think there's many Piss Lord Instagram accounts. Yeah, we got all that. And then a lot of just my art, my drawings and stuff is up there too. And I've been also serializing when I get pages. My girlfriend is doing the Muddy, who is it's on the screen now, is a contributor and a member of Piss Lord Productions. And then I lost my train of thought. Well, yeah, I just got a lot of stuff on my Instagram if you want to check it out. Different art, different comics and stuff like that.
Check out the March Against Machines they did, where Brody was preaching on the street,
spreading the gospel.
That stuff is fucking fantastic. We do make a cameo in that, as well as Trashy Boys. They make a cameo in our video as well, our Denver March Against Machines. But just real quick, would you be able to summarize the Piss Lord kind of philosophy, kind of what you were getting at that first manifesto?
That one, a lot of the credit goes to Muddy. Muddy had an experience on a cocktail of psychedelics and certain substances, and was watching on a streaming service this documentary about people who would get hypnotized and then have surgery performed on themselves without anesthesia. And then from there on Instagram, Muddy started watching this guy named Mr. Pissair, who was living in like this rundown house, filling bottles with piss and shit, and like just chucking them at the walls. And from there, Mikey kind of formulated the original idea of Piss Lord, where you kind of are, once you let go of all these kind of social constructs that bind you and allow yourself to chuck piss at the wall and have surgery performed on yourself, and entering what we like to call the mind dojo, where you're able to imagine anything, do anything. And that's where Piss Lord started, was from that kind of idea. I think Dan described it well on stream a couple weeks back as like an embrace and decry of nihilism, and I think that's a pretty fitting way to describe it. And then with the next one we're working on is just fleshing out some of the ideas, but not really, taking a more political angle with it, but then again, not really. You'll just kind of have to read it to see what I mean. It's very abstract, out there stuff. I'm probably gonna have to wrap up.
Very Kafka-esque.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to wrap up in a little bit. My girlfriend has work really early in the morning, and I'm keeping her up, so we can kind of wind things down in a little bit.
Well, Johnny, you're always welcome on, man. I enjoy your art, enjoy what you do. You're an interesting guy. Brody's part of the show now. Yeah. What's your roommate? It was Peter. Is that correct?
That's correct, Peter, Mr. Peter Conway.
Yep. Well, give him our regards as well. He's a very talented guy.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man.
Yeah.
You know, I've been talking to Brody about all the wonderful stuff you've been doing. You kind of mentoring him in the comics and graphic art world. And again, that's the art. I've been mostly focusing on digital art. I really want to, get away from that ephemeral stuff and, get to something that you can actually like crowdfund and print out and distribute. Mm-hmm. That shit is so cool. So, eternal respect to you guys. I was checking your Instagram out earlier, like really solid stuff on there.
Thank you. Josh and I, we tried to make the stuff that like 10-year-old us would have loved. I'm not going to plug too hard, but I've got to, because I got an artist that works hard so that we can make stuff. Yeah. Godfouniverse.com. You can find a bunch of our stuff you can read for free. We try to explore a lot of the modern day worries, such as we're talking about like techno-fascism, through the science fiction and fantasy element of things. And in the first book, the first volume, I kind of explored a lot of like the far right wing fears of that, which is where I got the Curtis Yarvin book. And as I go, I'm trying to go the far left kind of fears and like bringing those to life too. And I feel like that's the only way you can examine these ideas is through fiction. I don't think you can. I think that's the best way to examine a philosophy. I think Nietzsche finally got that when he started doing like Thus Spoke Zarathustra and all that kind of stuff. I think you can talk in the face to your blue, but until you can conceptualize them as characters, kind of like Dostoevsky, and have them talk things out, that's the only way you can understand like what you believe.
Yeah, sure.
I feel the same. When we made this fictional story about Jimmy Kimmel getting blown up on his live show by a drone, again, that's kind of like, it's a fiction, but it's an exploring of reality, because part of me just wanted to just look at this and be apathetic, or more than apathetic, But it's when you look at that stuff and you explore it through the lens of art, that's when you can really kind of like put yourself into another person's shoes. So
yeah,
it's powerful stuff.
Well, I think so. I'm not going to pull this crap of like, I think everybody should get along all the time. I don't think that's how things work. I think conflict happens, but I think like there are bigger threats than whatever, like for whatever spectrum anyone falls on politically or religiously. There's some pretty common threats in the world right now, and techno-fascism is definitely on the top of that list. And I don't like, that's the kind of stuff that's going to get buried in like the whatever's happening in your face. That's the machine protecting itself.
It's up to us three to stop
it. Yeah, that's it. us three alone.
Yeah,
and Peter.
Peter will produce the whole thing.
He's got to get done with his homework, and then he's going to help Mom. But anyway, thanks for coming on, man. Anytime. I love talking to people. I love talking about people about any kind of thing like that. I'm sure if we all went further down the line for 8 hours, we'd find a lot of stuff to disagree on, like ice cream flavor or whatever. But you're an artist. Brody's an artist. I try to be an artist. I love talking to artists. So thanks again, man. I appreciate
And
it.
thank you to the
No problem, man. I'd happy
and
to
thank
be
you to
back
the chat,
anytime.
everybody, for chiming in.
All right.
I think this was
Yeah.
yeah,
All both of y'all.
you. All right.
All right.
Bye bye.
Good night, everybody.
Take it easy, y'all.